Welcome to another episode of Emotional Nightmares. My name is Tyler.
I'm Nicole.
And on today's episode, we're going to dive a little bit into growing up in the system, what that looks like, what that feels like. So we have a special guest with us today. His name is Bobby. So Bobby, first off, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
I'm Bobby.
I know it's an awkward question.
From Franklin, PA. I'm 21. I just dealt with a lot of different situations and that a lot of younger kids don't really grow up with or have to deal with at a younger age.
Right on. All right, so let's start with those situations, right? So growing up, right?
Yeah.
You're growing up, and let's talk about the first time that you can remember things seem weird or they seem out of place.
Probably whenever I was little and I noticed like how other people, like I was like around like 6 years old, and I noticed like from everything from like how the police would look and treat like me or anyone in my family to like even just regular people. It was just like everyone basically looked at my family a certain way because of what they did.
Okay. So 5 years old. You're in a raid.
Yeah. The first one I was in, I was 5, and I won't ever forget that because that's being 5 and the first time you have guns drawn on you is a lot to take in and deal with. But on top of that same day we sat there in summer heat. Franklin PD cut the heat off in the house. I was literally wiping my parents' sweat off their faces as they have dogs on us still in the house. Can't find anything, just keep going and going to make us sit in the heat and deal with that. And
you remember that vividly.
Yeah. And being that young and noticing that, it's like you grow up and that's a figure like the police is like someone you're supposed to trust and stuff, but seeing that, it's like you completely look at them as the enemy then.
Right. So as a kid, they just kind of pushed you aside too.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the first one you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened after? Do you remember what happened after that? With you?
They didn't find anything.
Right.
No, but they didn't do anything to me. From as much as like my parents dealt with drugs and stuff like that, the one thing I will say is they definitely did a really good job on like separating us from being involved with it as much as they could.
I love your mom. I love your mom. Your mom's awesome. She cracks me up. Every morning I get a text message from her with a daily devotion.
Yeah.
I love her to death. So, then she's definitely turned her life around, right? So we'll make that clear now.
But back then, I mean, I try to tell my kids, like, especially with having to deal with co-parenting the way that I have to, like, do you know what strange behavior is from an adult? Do you know what is actually your fault and what is not your fault? Because my kids think that a lot of the reasons that they get yelled at or do things is because they've done something wrong or it was like directly in their control. And it's like, no. An adult is choosing to yell at you and blame you for something that's out of your control, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, even as a 5-year-old in your first raid, right?
Yeah.
you're like, they didn't find nothing.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of, it seems difficult for you to talk about that and whatever. Did you know what they were looking for?
Pretty much anything. Also, another big thing, like, I know, like, my parents got arrested for, like, distributing methamphetamine.
Okay.
So.
But at the time, were you like, what the heck is happening? Why is this all happening? Or did you kind of realize that, like, something was different about your house?
I mean, I could definitely tell something was different. But I couldn't obviously be like, oh, this is what's going on.
Sure,
exactly.
yeah.
But eventually, whenever, like, stuff like that started happening and stuff, I very quickly, like, put it all together.
Yeah.
That, like, that's what was going on. And then past that point, my mom was always very straightforward with us on, like, anything.
Yeah, she's a real open person.
Yeah.
Do I know
Too
her?
open.
Yeah.
Too open. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
We're not going to
you'll
put her
tell
on
me later.
camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's, like, another thing, like, we grew up really rough, and didn't really have much, but it's another thing, like, about, her and my dad, especially, like, they really tried, as much as they could to, like, do whatever they could for us. And sadly, not every parent's like that in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately. No, I'll say, like, even watching your mom through her drug addiction, like, the love she had for you guys, like, for you, man, she'd kill all of us in this room for you guys. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so this stuff's going on, right? So let's talk about entering the system, right? Because like this crooked ass system, right? You entered into this system, CYS and all that stuff.
Yeah.
How was that impacting your life? Like, how was that affecting you?
It just really made me feel like more of, like, honestly, like, a reason of, like looking down on myself even at that point of, like, oh, maybe this is why, like, the cops and other people treat us this way, like, but still, like, even then I never, like, really held myself back because of it. But yeah, no, it was definitely a lot to deal with, and circumstances that most of the time I got in trouble for were just not going to school. And I didn't do that mainly just on the fact of growing up, I nonstop had to fight because my parents and what they were doing, how they were looked at, to, like, even having family members that were black and fighting, like, almost literally every day. And then expecting to go to school. And I have even, like, teachers that don't look at me and treat me normal. So whenever even, like, my own peers in school are treating me a certain way, it's extremely hard to go there and try to, like, do anything. Because even, like, most kids that are like me that come from, like, a situation, they look forward to going to school, to be away from it and see their friends. And it was hard for me even to have friends because of it.
And you were being bullied in school.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, they would literally pick me out when I would go to the bathroom. And on top of that, there's a lot of points that they don't have cameras. So I would get picked out. And I'm already looked at as basically an issue. My family is too. So once I go and say something, they immediately look at me like I did something.
Sure.
So to backtrack, right?
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying, right, is you're being picked on.
Yeah.
You got all this wild stuff going on at home, right? Which is leading to people bullying you in school nonetheless. The school's blaming you for being bullied, which is wild. That's unfortunately, the thing, which cracks me up because our school district here has the anti-bullying act, but yet we'll get there.
Yeah.
We had to fight them in court over that. But so anyway, being picked on, you're telling them they're not believing you.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody else is believing you, right? Everybody else is just kind of, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this, right? What's going through your head at this time? Like, how are you handling this stuff emotionally? Because that's heavy, man. That's heavy.
The biggest thing for me was I was honestly on, like, even I knew then that I was, like, right on the edge of, like, just flipping and not caring at all. And that was just because I was just, like, basically over it at that point of, you got all these people that are supposed to be, like, role model figures and authoritative figures around you, and they're completely, like, shoving you off, putting you down. And it just, makes you want to go cold. But at the same time, I knew if I did that it was going to give them way more of the reason to put me away. And that was my biggest thing, was to not have them do that and proving them wrong, that I wasn't an issue.
Right. So, in our area, right, there's a lot of people from the county that watch this. There's a lot of caseworkers that are watching this, that are still at CYS, right, or Child Protective Services. They're still watching this, right? What do you want them to understand? Like, from your point of view.
I just feel like the big thing with people in positions like that, whether it be like CYS or even like teachers and stuff, like figures like that, should want to understand a kid going through something and try to understand.
Right.
Instead of, because especially with teachers, I noticed that it's a very like, they go off each other type thing, which isn't going to help a kid that's in my situation. When no one understands it, no one cares to understand it. And then I'm left there, like I was.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was a tough situation. So, so it's interesting for me, right? Because, like, I actually know your whole story. So trying to figure out how to ask these questions without making is different for me, right? So, so you got out of the system though.
Yeah.
Right. How'd that happen?
So I was around 13 and they were about to throw me away. Didn't even trust to send me into another detention center in the state, really. And around that exact point is when my sister graduated college, and she just happened to, like, be able to offer to take me in, and people knew, like, she was a good influence for me. And luckily I was able to get a chance to go up and move out of the Franklin area and go to Erie and live with her.
So when you moved in with sister, right?
Yeah.
And she didn't just graduate college; she became a nurse practitioner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's very smart.
She also, she graduated valedictorian too from Franklin.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, as soon as I brought up the fact that I would move in with her, people were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. So when you moved in with her, though, you went to a whole new school,
Yeah,
right?
that was
So tell me what that's like, because here we are, right? You're in this situation where you're being bullied. You got all this stuff going on. You're not going to school in this area because, I mean, all the shit that's going on, right? So now you go to a new area. What was your mindset then? Like, what made you be like, I gotta do this?
One, I didn't have the same things to really worry about. I was able to really be like a kid. I mean, the most I probably dealt with like coming from there to there with like was obviously like the environment change of like I went from literally having nothing to being in school with kids that are like nephews of like professional athletes or like their parents are doctors or this or that, like and that was different. But like also whenever I moved, the school obviously gets my paperwork and they kind of treated me a little bit different at first, but once like they got to really like see I wasn't an issue, they didn't treat me like one. Right. And I was able to actually sit down and like focus on sports and do that.
That's good. Unfortunately, this local area, I might get crucified for saying this, and that's okay. That's okay, right?
I can only imagine what you're about to say.
Well, you know, it's crazy because like I went to school in this area, right? And you didn't, but
I didn't.
This area is very much who are your parents,
Yeah.
and it's very much like
I mean, my area was like that too. It was just like your graduating class was the size of one of my
right. So this is a small town, right? So it's very much like it's who you know around here, not what you know, right? I remember facing the same things in the school, and what's crazy is like the Franklin School District, right? And I'll call them out by name because I don't. What are they gonna do, right?
Oh my god.
They've had so many lawsuits, and they have.
I didn't know.
And they've had so many people come at them for this shit.
Really?
Right? Being bullied in school.
I didn't know that.
Other crazy stuff, like really crazy stuff, where they blame the other person, right? Yeah. And like if you play sports in the school, you're good. Right?
Yeah.
Like
the two options for sports that they have.
Yep. Okay, like if you can play, if you can throw a ball around, they got you, right? And it's a shame because I know this situation. So for everybody who doesn't know, now we'll kind of explain a little bit of the backstory, right? So I was the CYS caseworker, right? Involved with Bobby. That's how I know
for his
Bobby.
Family.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was the very last one.
The very last one.
They had tons of them, and I just kind of came in.
13.
Yeah.
When you stepped in, 13?
He was there when I got the chance to go and live with my sister.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it was crazy, right? Because, like, we came in and was like, like, the kid's being bullied. Like, of course he doesn't want to go to school. Can we do, like, a cyber school, set something else up? Like, this is crazy. And, like, the school district's like, well, it's not real. Like, no, it's not real. It's not real. And we're like, yeah, but it is, right? And they're like, but it's not. And so we went back and forth with this argument. And it's crazy because had it have been somebody else's in the community's child, the school district would have came down on it. I know that for a fact because when I was in the school, right, I got in trouble for something I didn't even do because the other person's parents mattered more than what my mom did, right? Because my mom, she just here. You know what I mean? Like she ain't doing, like she's just here, part of the community. Same thing, right? So it's interesting, right? And that's kind of why we're doing this episode, is to bring awareness to these little fucking school districts, and not just like all throughout the country, right? Is like, Jesus, man. And then unfortunately, right? And like, and this is what I witnessed when I entered into your guys' life, and I already knew your mom from way back. I hear my cat out there just trying to get through the door.
Really? Is that what that was?
Just threw me off. Yeah. But like, it was interesting because even in this the system, right? So like, I started working at CYS, and like even the caseworkers, well, they're bad kids. They're this and that.
Yeah, because they're all probably burnt out.
Right. And I'm just kind of sitting there like, hold up. Is nobody, like, our job is to listen to the child. Is nobody listening to the kid? Yeah. Like, holy shit.
Which, so you're 21 now. At the time you were 13, 2024, they're now currently paying CYS workers $15 an hour. So were you even making close to $15 an hour dealing with his family?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No. On burnout with little to no education, having it is not education, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, sure. Like, so you have to have at least a bachelor's. So like, I had just graduated college. Like,
I mean like little to no education about burnout, about how your job will affect you psychologically.
Well, I think the issue is a lot of people use CYS as a stepping stone, right? So like, in your situation, like, you guys went through like how many caseworkers, man? A shit ton.
I had so many caseworkers and people in courts that like I couldn't even tell you. Like, we would go to court and there would, no joke, be like anywhere from like 15 to like 30 people just sitting there in the actual courthouse, and I had no idea what they were for.
Right.
I mean, of course he wouldn't.
So like, that's the system we're dealing with, right? Is like, it's the system. And you know, when we first started this podcast, like, my goal has always been, I want to fight the system.
I love fighting the system.
Right? I want to bring awareness to
Bobby,
this.
I'm going to take over the government. Don't worry. I have 20 years left.
Yeah.
I'm getting somewhere. I don't know how far I'm getting.
I don't want the government, but I want.
I do.
I want the justice, right? So like, at the end of the day, it should be equal across the board.
Sure.
Right? I'm cool with that if it's equal, but it's not.
A lot of people don't know what equal is. I mean, so you're battling also people. So people have little to no literacy of burnout, but then little to no literacy of trauma. Were you given trauma training when you were hired at CIS? Or were they like, this is your caseload, check in with the kids?
Well, I already had it, but no.
Right.
So the issue is the system hires people fresh out of the school because they can pay them next to nothing. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I'm fine with them not having experience, but you have to build a safety net with understanding and education.
You know, there are some good people there.
Of course there are.
But the issue is like, everybody gets lost in the sauce. So when you went to Erie though, like, you started playing soccer though.
Yeah,
even to find out, you actually can play.
Well, I played even when I was at Franklin. It's just I wasn't able to play because I wasn't at school.
Yeah.
Right.
Even like you said, like, if you can play a sport, they treat you a little bit different.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing they treated me a little bit different on, is like, completely, I had issues through school, but the only thing that I like ever really had someone like come to me in a good way was the first day I was there. The athletic director wanted to see me because he wanted me to play soccer. But other than that, it was like, that was, I made it look that another way. And then I'm not able to play because I'm not there. So
Right.
But you were able to be a kid. How much older is your sister than you?
I want to say she's 32. And then the closest sibling I have to me is my brother, and he's 29.
Okay. So are you the baby then?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of them were kind of out when you were dealing with a lot of it.
At the very end, they were. But that's also like another thing like that was very big for me, because like I grew up in a very rough situation, but like my parents tried, and then on top of that, like my brother and sister did everything that they could like for me to. And that's what like the only real like discipline I even really had was from literally like my brother, like
Mm-hmm.
forcing me to like wake up, work out, like that's always how he's been. So that was really good for me.
Did you play soccer in Erie?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
I did really good until my knees pretty much like went out on me.
That's what ended my soccer career too.
Yeah, I was
My knee.
playing for Harbor Creek and also the Admirals Club.
You were playing Cup?
Yeah.
I love the Admirals. They're a really great
You're-
team, actually.
They're not a thing anymore.
What? Since COVID?
My bird's
Since
on.
around there, yeah.
I was like, that's not Pickles, unless Pickles is now 8 foot tall.
I was actually one of the like they're like the last year is actually the Admirals because it got sold.
Who bought it?
The Cleveland like Select.
Oh, Cleveland Select. Okay. Yeah. I played North Stars for nearly my entire life, and then I did ODB.
Yeah.
And then I was playing W&J, and my knee just went out, and that was it. Got a knee replacement at 16.
Yeah,
Ended my career. I mean, seriously, I was going somewhere.
Yeah, we were going to like Adidas showcase events, and we were expected to win no matter where we went in the U.S. And yeah, just one day I was in practice for high school, just doing a run. Already have some knee issues, and I heard one pop, and it didn't hurt. So I was like, oh, I'm good. This happens. So I'm just still going. And then right towards the end of the run, my knee just gave out. And they instantly were like, yep, call your sister. Like, don't move.
Was that pop your meniscus? Did you mess your meniscus?
I don't know exactly. I didn't think I did anything like major right then to it, but I had the main like sports doctor in Erie look at it, and he told me basically I have nerve damage in my right knee.
Oh, man.
So even like when I play soccer, if I get hit in a certain area, my whole leg will numb out.
Yeah. I have an area on my shin like that, just from getting kicked in the shin too much.
And then I'm also double jointed in a lot of my body.
Yeah.
Which helped in soccer because I was able to move my legs ways I wouldn't really be able to, but it's also very dangerous within your legs, move ways you shouldn't be able to. And then my left knee hyperextends, and I had issues with that from a crash. So they were like putting me in a brace and stuff, and then by then I realized I'm not gonna be able to play.
Old man knees.
Yeah.
Had old man knees. But watch, this is why soccer is so amazing, right? When you were playing soccer versus when you were here in Franklin, did you feel like you were able to be who you wanted to be?
Yeah.
That's right.
For sure. And that was the big thing too of even soccer in general was really big for me because I said my brother was really big on me working out and stuff, so it was and that was a big thing from him was with our situation where we were living in Franklin, the only way that we seen a way to move out of here is if we get a scholarship somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just ever since I was 7, 8, he was super on me about it.
Yeah.
I would stay over in the field by my house and literally practice shooting until I literally couldn't see the ball anymore. And yeah, being able to go to school, be a kid, and actually play the sport that I do everything for, was so big for me. Yeah, and I'll always put my sister up there for doing that for me, because she really didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But she did that, and then on top of that, even took in my other brother and had him live there until he ended up getting lucky and got to go play the sport that he likes.
How's he doing with it?
Good. He's a little bit dealing with injuries right now. He's only been playing this season on subs. But they're looking to get him in next week.
What's he playing?
Rugby.
Rugby? That's super cool.
He played for Erie for 1 year. Got a scholarship to Notre Dame, and then after that went and played at DC for a couple of years, and now he's at Miami's new team.
Oh, well, that's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what he's doing for a living.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And yeah, with that, last year I was living in Virginia and got a really good job opportunity and stuff like that because of him.
Yeah.
Which is nice to have siblings like that that always do look out for each other.
Yeah.
Because a lot don't.
Yeah. It's important, right? It's always important.
I always get jealous of sibling relationships like that. I have an older sibling, but my mom, I'm sure she did the best she could, whatever. But she always drove a wedge between my sister and I. Our life is this way because of you, and so I'm going to keep her over here. And my mom would read books to her, my mom would tuck her in, and my mom would literally put me in a closet. It was so different. So we don't talk.
Stepbrother, and it was crazy because
I have a half brother, but he's still up my mom's ass.
his family, aside from my stepdad, right? Mm-hmm. But his family, they look at me weird, right? They look at me awful, more or less. Mm. His grandparents treated me like shit, and then my family, they were just kind of eh. But him and I are extremely close. So it's an interesting dynamic. Our families are kind of weird towards each other for the most part. Mm. But we are extremely close. So I got to grow up with my brother, with my stepbrother, who same thing.
Yeah.
We always look out for each other and try to help each other to the best of our abilities.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? So that's awesome. So shit, man, everything kind of turned out pretty good, huh?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Mm.
I dealt with some things, but definitely made it out of it. And that was also another big thing my sister would always say to me is that I get in the worst situations, but somehow just make it out of it.
It is a talent.
Well, you're young still.
Yeah. I mean, I don't try pushing it, but
I want it.
About 30 is slow down.
Don't push it, right?
I am not trying to test it. But
you're 21 and you got a long ways to go,
yeah.
Right? But you have come a long way, man.
Yeah.
You have, right? I never thought I would hear you talk on a microphone.
Yeah, I'm not very big with
talking
or being.
I had a whole hour-long conversation with you one time. The only word was okay.
And, yeah, and that's also another thing. I don't really show emotion that much. But yeah, no, I just wanted to come on here and really talk about that and how I grew up, because I think it's important that if another kid's out there realizes it's happening, not just to them. Also for people in authoritative positions to see what it's like for a kid like me to go and deal with that. And I think people like that should want to understand and actually help kids out, not just for the money or as a stepping stone. Even though maybe I feel like to step in a job like that, you should have your heart right, because it's ultimately affecting other people's lives.
Absolutely.
I don't think they're taught that. I don't think that they're ready. I don't think that they understand. And then they're there for 17 goddamn years, and then they're like, well, this kid.
I think somewhere along the lines is people lose focus on the fact.
I couldn't do it though. I mean, I talk shit, but I couldn't do it.
I think along the lines people lose the focus of just what you said,
right.
Of this is a kid's life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of why I left that place, right? Like, I just had enough. I'm like, dude, like, these
That's
are
why a lot of
people's
people-
lives.
Yeah.
And, like, you're not, like, you see some fucked up shit,
Yeah.
right? From people that got no idea what they're doing, just like
No
playing with kids'
clue.
lives,
Yeah.
right? There is a program, though, that the Pennsylvania has, and that's CASA,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to hate them. I did. I ain't gonna lie. I used to think they were just a nuisance, right? When I was a caseworker, and then there was this girl, and God rest her soul, she passed away. Her name is Cinnamon. Love her to death, right? But at first I was like, who's this girl? Until she sat down and explained what CASA is. And I ended up like going on the board for a little bit, but I've stepped off that board. I'd like to step back on it. I might actually. But so anyway, the whole point of them is they are the voice for the children.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're like child advocate. What's it stand for? Child advocate?
Court appointed special.
Yeah.
So you never got to meet one of them, though,
No.
right?
Wait,
so,
time out. Is this what they call a
No. So
Do you know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
I am, and the answer is no.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you for the telepathy.
I got it.
Yeah.
Right? So the only way you get a CASA worker
Mm-hmm.
is you have to be dependent, right? You have to go into the court system, right? Which you were,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know why you never got one, right? And I wish we would have been able to do that. I mean, at the end of the day, I kind of came into the picture and was like, hold the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew the whole family. So I was like, we ain't doing this. Like, we're changing some things. Like, where's the system? Like,
I hate the system so much.
But
I hate it.
what CASA does, though, man, is they really get involved with the child. They change the child's life. Like, they help and they stay, right?
It's
and
like a peer program, essentially.
No.
It ends up being that way because they're volunteers.
They're all volunteers.
Yeah.
And what impresses me the most is I'm a firm believer recovery doesn't stop at the door, right? And I don't care what it is with. Like I pretty much stay in contact with everybody, right? Because at the end of the day, why would you not, right? CASA's like that. Like I know some CASA workers that still talk to the children that they helped, and the child's like 45, right? CASA workers like 60, and like they're at the wedding and stuff like that, right?
That's great.
So like there are good programs out there,
Yeah.
and then unfortunately they don't have enough volunteers.
They don't.
Right? Like CASA does not have enough volunteers.
Yeah.
I went to like the Harrisburg convention, and I want to go again. I should call Heather and get involved, but they at that convention, like, man, like there's just not enough people that want to volunteer.
That's what's wrong with the entire system.
Right. So that's the issue, right?
Right.
Is because everybody nowadays looks at it like it's not my problem.
Right.
Right. And then unfortunately, like you suffer.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, so, I mean, I'm glad that you came on, right? And I was glad, like, when talking to you about you wanting to come on, right?
Yeah.
Because it does show, like, there is hope, right?
Yeah.
And even growing up in that system, even if, like, right now, for some reason, we have, I was looking at our analytics page,
Mm-hmm.
we're hitting the 15 to 18 mark.
Yeah.
Like apparently they're watching us, right? Which
I mean,
I don't recommend because
I mean,
like
I'm okay with
I
it,
say
though.
some wild shit,
I
right?
mean, yes.
But
Still do your own research, but
but so that's important though, right? Because like that's why I wanted to bring you on too, is because like according to our analytics, like we have that age bracket, and you're roughly around that age bracket,
yeah.
and I want them to know,
Yeah.
like, man, if you're going through some shit,
Yeah.
there's people out there that can help, right? I don't know, man. I'm definitely proud of you graduated. You got to play
It's
soccer.
more than I did.
Yeah. You graduated, you got to play soccer, you went to Erie, like you wasn't missing school, you got CYS out of your life. They didn't have to come back into the mix.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't get arrested, you didn't end up in the system yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm very proud of you, man. Like, you've come a long way from wanting to sit around and eat chicken nuggets and not go to school. Right?
It's fair.
Do you still eat Sheetz food all the time? That was the only thing you'd eat.
Even in Virginia, there's little towns down there that have Sheetz.
They have Sheetz?
Yeah.
In Virginia?
Yeah.
Wow, Sheetz coming up in life.
You can go to little towns in Virginia and there will be a Sheetz.
Your mom, I remember, I'm like, well, let's just get him something to eat. Your mom, he only eats Sheetz. I gotta go to Sheetz. And like, God love her, she would. Right? She would. She walked through hell for you guys, man. She's an awesome lady. But yeah, man, I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
So it's awesome to see. Awesome to see.
He's got more things to be doing.
Yeah.
Places to go. People.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully, our God willing, we'll still be here in 5 years on YouTube, right? I would like that.
Every day it changes.
Nah, we'll be here in 5.
Yeah.
We'll still be here. So make it a goal that in 5 years I want you to come back and talk to us again.
Yeah.
And tell us, like, man, this is where I've been in 5 years. We'll re-edit the episode, put it together.
We'll just have them on once a year. I keep smacking this.
Yeah, it's because you can't fix your voice tone. We have to put a special microphone.
Listen, I am a pterodactyl by birth. Okay, I was born this way. Okay,
It's all right, man. It's all right. So
I've come to like all parts of me. So,
all right, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate having me.
Absolutely. Nicole, you got anything you want to end with?
keep happy hour happy.
All right. Well, listen again, man. You guys could be anywhere in the world today. For some reason, you have decided to stick it out with us. I don't know how long this was, but
Yeah, I didn't look at the entire time.
you decided to stick it out with us. We appreciate you for listening. We appreciate you more when you subscribe. And we appreciate you 10 times more when you subscribe, share, and like.
That was the very best radio voice I've ever heard you have.
So, yeah, man, keep listening. Check out next week's episode every Monday, 7 o'clock. We appreciate it.
Thank you for watching.